And we're live. Hello and welcome. This is the 78th week of Hex Therapy Live. Welcome. There's major consistency here and there's a lot of positive energy to be had. We're also going to be setting the record straight. I want to cover today what is certain in the cryptocurrency space during these hard times, during the bear market. You know, the best time to accumulate oftentimes is when you feel the most fear, but also people have questions about, what happened with Luna, right? Because people felt fear. They tried to buy the 99% dip and then it went down 99 more percent every time people tried to catch the falling knife. So we're going to explain, how Hex is so much different. But I also want to go over some things that one of the major Bitcoin cryptocurrency influencers said recently that I saw. We're going to show some really cool evidence about how wrong they are about everything. They were trying to talk shit about the first Hex conference and they didn't even have their facts straight. And so if you're ready for a great episode here, then hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to become a member, you can hit the join button. They just added it to mobile. I think before that you had to use the desktop browser. But I think the Tuesday show that we just had on Game Theory Gang on this channel with Wendy's for Tendies and David Feeder, shout out to you guys. That is the most positive feedback I've ever gotten from the community about a video. And so if you haven't checked that one out, make sure to check it out. But other than that, if you're ready for a good episode, crack open a Red Bull here and let's do it.
It's from ALLin of Hex Therapy Live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie Allen's got that covered. He does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff, like, as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.
So I think I saw a clip here on Twitter today from somebody named, I think this is Lark Davis. He doesn't go by his own name, probably because he's running from all the people that he wrecked. But he's out there getting thousands of views saying things that are completely untrue about Hex and about the things that I've put my time and effort into. And so I as you can imagine, I have a few things to say about that. Let me show the clip here. And here, Lark, I think this is Lark Davis, like I said, is, he's showing the price of Hex, trying to make this super long, drawn out video, trying to say that Hex is a Ponzi. Well, I'm pretty sure everything that he shilled, hundreds of coins that he got paid to shill and then dumped on his users' heads. And then he had 100,000 followers in crypto or more. And, why is it that he only gets 5,000 views or 1,000 views, even though he's that popular? Is because he wrecked his entire audience so bad that they can't even afford their phone bill so that they can go and unsubscribe to this guy. So that's who we're dealing with here. Let me see if we can play it from the right spot. Can everybody hear this?
Yeah, it works right there. Now let me do full screen for you guys.
He's putting on the full screen.
You can see this chart right here. Back here, 2019, when the thing was launched, it was 0.0002.
He's talking about Hex. He's looking at the Hex chart. What he's going to do is he's about to point out a certain spot on the Hex chart, and it shows the date as the point he's picking.
Maybe even less than that. I don't know. This is what the chart's showing. So millionth of a penny, 100,000th of a penny, whatever that is. And we go on until, where are we? 2020.
So I'm just going to keep
till about right here,
making sure I don't get a copyright strike.
Towards the end of 2020 into the beginning of 2021. And so then there's this little bump.
He points out this little bump.
Oh, that's quite nice. Whoops, wrong. Wrong button. That's quite nice right there. I wonder what was going on. Well,
What was going
let
on?
me show you
He's
what in fact.
he's hovering over the big payday bump. So that's in November of 2020, right?
Going on. There was the Hex user conference.
Hold up. Wait a second. I'm sorry. When the Hex user conference, aka the Hex conference, the first Hex conference that I hosted, that I put all my time and energy into putting together, recruiting all the speakers, trying to bring the entire community together, asking Richard Hart if he would be so kind as to come and speak. This was my first opportunity to network with the Hex community. The first thing I learned on Discourse Syndicate was to cross promote. And so that's what I did. I come from a research background. I've been to conferences all over the world that are of a scientific nature. So I decided to host the first Hex conference. And I remember the dates because we had another online Hex conference at the same exact time this year. I also remember because the person who helped me start this show, hextherapy.live, 78 weeks ago, Joe Hexotic, his 1-year sobriety date was on the date of the Hex conference, and it was January 6th through 9th. Okay. So he's pointing out that there was a pump in the price, and he's going to try to go on and say it was because of everybody giving their testimonial here at the Hex conference, which is completely untrue. The Hex conference was an incredible time to buy Hex. It went below 1/3 of a penny, I believe, after we had already gone up to 1 or 2 cents. And so it's like today, how bad people feel today when the price of Hex is down 80%. That's how everybody was feeling. And still, there was 100% participation in the Hex conference. Even Dev Kyle recorded a video, right? And it was really incredible. All of the people who came and spoke at the first Hex conference did an incredible job. And so anyway, here's Lark, just being completely wrong, making himself look like a total idiot. It's bad enough that he can go around and create other points of FUD. But if you look at how he makes his assumptions and how certain he is, talking about how the Hex conference created some kind of pump, that people bought into and got wrecked, it couldn't be anything farther from the truth.
About that time. Let's listen to some, shall we?
I need to do something that's really going to break it open. That's really going to be a hard change. Not something that's, I'm just going to do this for a couple days, like a New Year's resolution.
He's just going to start clicking around on the video. He has no plan. He hasn't reviewed this, or if he has, he got the wrong idea.
And what's going on in Hex as a whole.
John Wick.
I see it as a no-brainer to
stay,
considering that we have less than 10% of the global
sorry if that audio is loud.
In the entire system.
We're reviewing
less than 10% of all Hex being staked, greatly rewarding all the holders. So the focus that most people should be concerned with is the APY. And the APY right now is on average about 37, 38, 39%.
That's basically the new money coming in. How much are you getting?
It's not the new money coming in. That's the percentage that's getting locked. It's getting time locked. You don't get paid your APY along the way. You get your APY at the end of your stake. You get more return. You get more yield. The longer you wait. And where does that money come from? Well, sure, you can say it's paid in Hex terms, which is the only way that you could pay it in a responsible way. Because if you guaranteed US dollars out of this Hex smart contract, that would be impossible to pay, right? So that would be a Ponzi. And there are cryptos that have tried to pay in a different currency than they create through inflation, and that doesn't work. But the real key that he misses, that is obvious to anybody who is smart enough to figure out that the first Hex conference happened when Hex was at a deep discount, not when it was being propped up by a bunch of influencers. He's the one who gets paid tens of thousands of dollars for all the shitcoins that he dumps. he can't even stick with one coin. He's ostracized from the Bitcoin community because he doesn't talk about only Bitcoin, but he talks about anything people will pay him to talk about. And so no wonder he does such a bad job picking coins. No wonder he has a reason to like try to tell everybody who's interested in Hex that it's a scam, because he knows he's not going to get paid by simply talking about Hex. You know, like that's not how it works. You have to do real work to get paid in Hex. And the number one thing you can do to get paid in Hex, the only thing you can do, is to time lock the Hex that you bought. And so when you time lock the Hex that you bought, you're providing a critical service. You're saying that you're not going to sell. And so that creates scarcity in the here and now. And that's valuable. Becomes even more valuable the more people who participate, because there are more people delaying gratification. And if that wasn't enough, that, you know, paying a small inflation rate, like less than the US dollar is inflating, paying a small interest rate to incentivize people to save for their future in Hex terms, and to pay their future self in Hex terms, and to save themselves from themselves, because when Hex goes up 10,000x, you don't want to sell all of it all at once. And Hex has a built-in mechanism to help you not wreck yourself. Like everybody who bought Bitcoin cheap, it did a 10x and they sold, and then they hated themselves because it did a 6 millionx, right? And so don't tell me that time locking your money in Hex is not a valuable thing for both the person who's locking and the person who's not locking. Because if you're just buying liquid Hex, then you're reserving the right to dump it at any time on the market. And the more people who come in and create value by delaying gratification and making your Hex more scarce now, those people deserve to get paid a little bit of inflation that you are willing to pay them. So it's a willing, you know, it's a willing buyer, it's a willing seller, and it's a willing staker who are all participating in the Hex system. So to say that the inflation is unsustainable, that's not accurate. Like the USD price is it's volatile, right? It's unstable. And that's a feature, not a bug. If you wanted the price of Hex to stay the same, then you wouldn't be participating in a system that is incentivizing people to stop wrecking themselves and incentivizing people to make the coin more scarce, right? So why would you, why wouldn't you want to participate in a system like that? It's better than any other currency that's existed. And we see this in technology. Hex is true DeFi. It's a decentralized financial technology. Financial technologies, they leap forward. When cars were first invented, everybody said, why would you want to use that? They didn't get it because the streets were all made for horses. There wasn't the infrastructure built yet. People couldn't imagine a future where people were driving because driving sucked so bad at first, right? So if you were an early adopter in cars, you would often get stuck. You'd have to have like 3 people like walking in front of the car to like move all the horses out of the way and shit like that. Like Andreas Antonopoulos talks about like the history of all that. So anyway, like, yeah, there's so much use case. And so I go on Twitter and I finally see some people who are fudding Hex, right? And like, they have a cool story, but it's not true. Like Luna inflated, people were taking value out in Luna terms. Like the founder was taking out, like same with Celsius, like the founder's taking money out. But people like this, people like Lark get paid, part of the racket of their lying and they're defrauding their viewers. Part of it is they're incentivized to do that. And in Hex doesn't pay incentives to middlemen advertisers. You have to create your own stake, really, if you want to pay yourself to be a Hex influencer, right? Or to be a Hex broadcaster is the way I like to think of myself. I'm getting paid from my own delayed gratification, which is why I don't have to monetize my audience. I don't rely on the audience. And so that's why I'm not here selling out. right? Even in a bear market, I'm cool. But Lark, he's getting all of his facts wrong.
Money's coming in, times are good. When there's more people cashing out, times are bad, and there's no utility floor for Hex.
For the average.
No, it's that we want volatility, and that's part of the reason why we time lock. It's because all cryptos are volatile. The world changes, and let's even say that there was a problem with Hex, which there is not. But if there was a problem with Hex, everybody would be time locked. So like if everybody freaked out, they could dump all their coins. But literally, we have time to fix it if something did go wrong. I don't think something's going to go wrong, but you get the point. The system, the Hex system is so good that it can't even collapse on itself because we have all built in protections to stop us from overreacting to things and to stick to our time plan. When you time lock your Hex, you are not guaranteed anywhere in there that it's going to be worth more USD later. But just because you want more USD later, it doesn't mean it's going to happen or it's not going to happen, right? It's just a fact of trading a thing or making an investment. When you invest in shares of a company, which can be printed from thin air, can be rehypothecated, can be they can have buyback programs that are unsustainable. They can have because they're just inflating to pay for their own buyback instead of having real money that they own, instead of taking debt to like buy back. In Hex, it's rumored that the founder has not only never taken any profit from Hex, but also has been buying back with the original funds that were collected. And so I would call that like a secured buyback versus like a credit based buyback, right? So everything is just so much better in Hex, but the world is so backwards these days with the financial policies. Like that creates more opportunity for us if we can explain it, if people can wrap their heads around it. And that's why we have a community full of experts that are doing just this.
Average staker. So
in that right now you're talking about,
I love this. You're going to love this too.
In interest alone. Hex is the golden goose scenario. I mean, your principal is the golden goose. Too many people are thinking to shoot the golden goose. You don't want to do that.
No.
And as time goes on, I think more people.
Wait for it. He's going to talk shit about our lighting. First of all, dude, I get it. You got a sweet setup, but like,
people realize that. But right now,
don't talk about the man's lighting like that.
Golden eggs.
We'll realize that at a later point and have the regrets on it, I'm sure.
It's what he says after that really.
Now, you might have noticed something.
Is my favorite.
They've all got the same background.
Yeah, boy. That's because I sent them that background that I paid for with my Hex that's now could be worth way more, but I sacrificed for the community because I believe in this shit. And because, like that's what you do when you get the riches that are bestowed on us early Hexicans. You give back, you pay it forward, you sacrifice your time, your, art. We did an episode earlier in the past week where Art gave $2 million to open an animal shelter. Like, you give back. I paid top dollar, even though it was from a Hexican who I no longer associate with, but like, I paid top dollar for that background, y'all. So if he's about to say that Richard Hart created the background or paid for it or distributed it, that couldn't be farther from the truth. That was on me.
And you might wonder, well, how did they all get the same background? And you know what?
I made a Telegram group.
Pretty even lighting.
It was really easy.
Here, he's a little bit.
It's really easy to send out.
Too much. Should have
that
turned down the
image.
exposure on your camera a little bit. The other three, they look good, right? Why is that?
Because they're streamers.
Well, it's because Richard Hart Wynn sent out green screens to every presenter.
Oh, hell no.
To set them up to look.
Hold up. I am the one who offered everybody that I would pay for their green screen. And maybe one person took me up on it. And all of the other 40 speakers, they were willing to buy their own green screen, because the very first online Hex conference kind of upped the game. I required that people had headphones, any kind of speaker they wanted, you know, any kind of microphone that they wanted, any kind of camera that they wanted. But it was on our work, me and Joe Hexotic running the green room. Like, it was not easy getting all these people set up this well. And they did the majority of the work themselves, because they believed in this idea that we would all come together for the Hex conference and look really sharp. You know, like, that's what I had to arrange with everybody, because everybody's got their own style. And like, you know, Hex Lion, like, I told him he couldn't bring his stuffed lion because I wanted it to be a more serious event. Now, like, since then, you know, Hex Lion and I, like, we're really good friends, I would say, like, as far as streamers go. And, you know, like, he didn't hold it against me, but I mean, you know, it was, you know, it was a big ask, you know, but he respected what I was doing. I respected what he was doing. So yeah, dude, don't start assuming that Richard paid for any of that shit. I paid for the background. I was willing to buy everybody a green screen, even though I was working at a mental health clinic, making not a lot of money, watching the price of Hex go down from like a penny and 2 pennies where I had bought more of it, all the way down to below a third of a cent. While, you know, while I'm putting in all my time, I'm working less hours at the clinic so I can put on this Hex conference, so I can like pay for these people to get green screen backgrounds and stuff. So like, where, like what is this dude's problem? Seriously, what is this dude's problem? Like, you think Richard paid for that? Where do you even get that from? You're just making up lies.
This guy paid for that because, you know, just out of the kindness of his heart.
Are you kidding me?
Because he is Richard Hartwin on Twitter, right? Out of the kindness of his heart, he just wanted to make these people look good. It is definitely not because he wanted to draw a bunch of new money into the crypto, you know, which that conference was going on. Yeah, right here, where there was this little bump. I wonder if that's interest.
No, it wasn't.
Because of
no, it wasn't. It was not going on during that time. Go back, look on my channel. Everybody who's on my channel right now, Hex Therapy has been getting like 3,000 views. That's incredible. Like, you know, if you have a channel with 200,000 people on it and only 5,000 people want to watch, like, that's pretty lame. That means you're not treating people right. When on this channel, when we have 9,000 followers and people, you know, 6,000 people are able to set aside time every Tuesday night, and 3,000 people, you know, that's 9,000 right there. That's, you know, up to full participation almost. You know, there might be some overlap there, but at the end of the day, the ratio of the people who are watching the show, even when we're down 90%, biggest downturn in Hex ever, longest downturn in Hex ever, and there's still full participation. You know, what does that tell you about the quality of the people who are coming back here and how people are probably being treated? Now, that bump was from Big Payday. That's because people were excited to get free money, and it was a huge incentive that was built into the system from the beginning. So it ran up to over 2 cents on Big Payday, and then it dropped, or maybe it was only up to 1 cent on Big Payday, and then it dropped for the Hex conference, which was 2 months later. Well, a month and a half later, maybe more. Yeah. So it was like, you know, the Hex conference was on January 6th through 9th. And what that bump he's talking about is November like 16th of the previous year.
Another thing was happening coming up here, right? Is that you had a couple ways to get the Hex. You could get it for free if you had Bitcoin.
I'm done. Like, that's all I had to hear. At the beginning of his episode, he like said something about like, yeah, we're gonna talk about the Hex conference too, blah blah blah. Like, dude, don't talk about the Hex conference like that. Richard didn't pay for it. Richard bragged that he didn't have anything to do with setting up the Hex conference. It was completely community driven. And I brag about the fact that he bragged about it, right? Like, you know, that wasn't easy, but I mean, in some ways it was. You know, it's like when you have such an enthusiastic community filled with awesome people who are all willing to work together, It's a good deal. I never got any money from Richard for that. I'm sorry. What is up? We're gonna check in with the chat here. Enough of the fake influencer bullshit. When Moon, sir. So, and remember, after I go through these comments, and I don't mind if you ask a hard question here and there, because I don't hear these other guys in other coins getting asked hard questions. I know we can handle it here. I'll be talking about what are some things in crypto that is certain and what is uncertain, because in uncertain times, it's even more important to understand what do we know, what are things that they're certain, and other things it's more of a risk. What is going on, Melv Tony? Good to see you there. Bran, good to see you. Yeah, one of the best streams ever with Wendy's for Tennies. Yeah, totally. That's what everybody keeps saying. I loved streaming that episode on Tuesday. Thanks everybody for all the positive feedback. It's really encouraging. Doesn't sound like Lark Davis. I'm like 95% sure that's him, but I could be wrong. It could be somebody else. Maybe it is somebody else. My bad. Either way, like, dude looks pretty professional, like talking shit. Don't talk shit about the. Okay, it looks like him, but it's not him. All right. Either way, loving the outfits. Hey, thanks. So I bought $100 worth of Theta tokens, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, whenever, and it's not the kind, there's like two different kinds, I think. It was the kind that like you couldn't trade back for money. It was just like a pointless, it was so I could tip other streamers that were using Theta, but you could, but then like it 10x'd overnight. And so I like tipped everybody, and then I got some like free merch. I got like tons of clothes, like really nice clothes. And so I got this customized, got the 369. I got Hex on the back. I got some that say like Maddie ALLin and stuff like that. It's just free clothes. I could buy more Hex instead of, paying a lot for clothes. Normally I wear a suit jacket, but I've been traveling ever since I did that Hex meetup with Art at the Hex Animal Shelter. That's something to brag about. Can superior validators in other network get arbitrage, yet allow Hex to coexist through slower validators? The validator race versus pooled stakers. Here's what I know is that David Feeder would be an excellent person to ask that question, because he's the one who comes on the stream every week on Tuesdays, and he's the validator himself. He's the one who runs the Pulse Validator. You might be referring to the type of arbitration that falls under the umbrella of miner extracted value, but there are other forms of arbitration that they are super relevant to the solvency of a smart contract and stuff like that. Its functionality. That's what a bug would refer to if there was an exploit that could occur. With Luna has had some like melting down on other chains too. Just in the past 3 days, there was a situation where Solana, there were pools, I think on Solana or maybe other places, that were just getting drained of all their value because the oracles were giving a wrong value for UST. So I saw some major Twitter activity of somebody who had caught this. There was somebody draining out millions of dollars of funds, and the funds that were left could have been saved, but the devs were nowhere to be found for this particular decentralized exchange. So sorry I don't have like a ultimate answer for that, but I hope that what I said, if that's not more information that you didn't know, or if you want to keep asking, feel free to reach out to David Feeder or come back on a Tuesday night and ask that. Although on Tuesday night, we also like, sometimes we get to the comments, but a lot of times we're also like respecting the guests that we have there and letting them talk. Rackham, yeah, I read that too. We're not about endless speed of validators. We're providing value through D. Wasn't Lark Davis. Okay, got it. Thanks, people. Good catch. Looks like him. You can time lock your hex or wait for Richard's promise. Meanwhile, price is tanked. Oh, hey, Lord Harry. I saw you made a comment on one of the other videos. Yeah, I mean, like, everybody needs their hex therapy, you know, people who are being positive or negative in the space. Richard, you sacrificed. You know, if somebody sacrificed, maybe I need to remind you what the word means. It means you don't get anything. I sacrificed to Pulse Chain and Pulse X, and I also sacrificed to the Suns Foundation. And so for the Suns Foundation, I got something out of that, which is like, you know, promoting longevity research, and that is cool to me. Maybe someday they'll save my life. But if the wording wasn't clear enough, then I don't know what to tell you. You know, like, hate to be so brash about it, but at the same time, you know, you've heard me say it before, like, sacrifice means sacrifice. So even if legally speaking, like, there's tons of benefits I can say to why, like, delaying the project is good, but you know, at the end of the day, if you sacrificed and you like weren't educated on what that meant, then you know, you can make a fuss about it, but I think you're just funding your own bags. Kind of stupid. He was a big XRP influencer. Okay. Yeah. Very good stream. I got 5 more T-shares today, and I'm damn happy about it. Well done, man. Ballin'. Optimal timeline. Meltoni, you're a regular. Cheers. Yes. I do. I try to sacrifice for the community. And every once in a while, you know, like, the good karma comes back around and rewards me. Somebody gave me like people, you know, rewarded me in lots of ways, like giving positive feedback, helping me get to 10,000 subscribers, just teaching me about crypto is really, really cool. There was one time one of the viewers of the show actually gave me, like, this is in the early days of Hex when it was worth like a third of a penny. Yeah, I think it was after the Hex conference. Maybe it got up to a penny or two. Somebody gave me like a shitload of Hex. Like, at the time it was like $3,000, $5,000, something like that. And I didn't know what to do with it because I was so grateful, and I was like, shoot, I know what to do with it. So I just time locked it, and I put it in a separate account. So, like, you know, maybe the Hex conference that'll happen, you know, and well, now it's like 13 or 14, you know, in like 13 years from now, 13 and a half, maybe that one, maybe that'll be paid for by that little stake along the way. Feel like I've seen this before. Yeah, it's from like 10 days ago. Deja vu. Huh. Yeah, I mean, that dude looked super familiar. It kind of looked like Lark Davis or somebody. Shows you how much I follow the fake influencers. Jim Rat Crypto, great stream today. For you, I know you've been streaming every day. Shout out to you. Everybody go follow Jim Rat Crypto. Help him get to multiple thousands more of subscribers. Doing good. Just on the road here in this Airbnb. Looks like the Wi-Fi is working pretty well. I brought the full setup, which is something I don't normally do when I travel, but you know, it's just Tuesday shows are that important to me. Normally the Thursday one is a little bit more laid back. On Thursdays, I try to perfect or get more experience with my monologue format. And then, of course, Tuesday show is all about bringing the best experts and the best technical discussion for advanced users. Notice you broadcasting price often. Haha. Melf Tony, you're probably talking to. Yep, that's our man. People saying hey to everybody else in the chat. That's what's up. If somebody has a good question that I don't have a chance to answer, somebody can, answer each other in the chat, especially people who are trying to catch up, who are new. Hex for free for BTC was minuscule. Well, it was, so if you bought, that was back when Bitcoin was $4,000. If you bought one Bitcoin at the time, Richard was telling people to do it. I bought another third of a Bitcoin at the time because of what Richard was saying. That was maximum pain too. That's the lowest. Well, that's the lowest I paid for Bitcoin after it had hit $20,000 when it fell all the way back down to 3,800. For every one Bitcoin that you had at the time of the Hex UTXO fork, if you want to call it that, at the time of the free claim period, it was 10,000 Hex per Bitcoin. So at the time, yeah, if Hex is worth less than a penny, that's only, several dollars worth probably. But now 10,000 Hex is worth a lot more than that, right? Let me pull up my price calculator here. I'll tell you exactly how much. But then we're going to talk about how much a t-shirt has been paying that whole time. I mean, right now it's $68. No, that's 1,000 Hex. It's $680. So man, out of like the 4,000 that you put in, what is that? Like still like a healthy 12% of a Bitcoin. There's never been a Bitcoin free claim that was worth more than what Hex is worth. So keep that in mind. Runner up, I don't know. There's some sweet ones early on, but since I've been in, since Bitcoin was like 2,500, actually yesterday was my 6-year anniversary. 5-year, 18, 19, 20. 5-year anniversary of being in crypto more than just having bought one ETH off of an Economist article. It's like when I literally started to get into Bitcoin because it passed the price of gold. So that would have bought you one t-shirt, man. And, you had to lock for at least a year, but some people lock. Yeah. So you had to lock for at least a year. So, I mean, I guess the price after a year wasn't as much as it is today, and it wasn't as little as it started off at, but you were getting interest. You got that. Well, you would have had to be intentional about staking a little bit longer than a year because the big payday was like right after the Bitcoin free claim mandatory period ended. So like you could have come in and free claimed and not gotten your big payday bonus. But then you would have gotten to dump at prices that were higher than they were right after the big payday. Anyway, like, yeah, the move was technically it's like buy Bitcoin, free claim your Hex, and then dump that Bitcoin and buy Hex. And if you did that, every Bitcoin that you put in, you would have gotten like millions of dollars now. So literally millions of dollars. So I wouldn't call it minuscule anymore. And in the future, I mean, let's look at the all-time high. At the all-time high, almost a 10x from here. Let's just do times 9. It was worth like $6,000 before the big payday bonus. So if you staked for 2.5 years, if you staked for 2 years, I mean, and you held up to 50 cents and then you sold at that point, you would have had more. The free claim would have been worth more than the Bitcoin was at the time you did the free claim. Talk about minuscule. Seems pretty gigantic to me. But I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for keeping it real. You can always express your opinion. Unless it's being super mean, and then I'll block you. But I appreciate you. Wendy's was really good. Wasn't Lark. Don't think it was Lark. Watched it 3 times? Dude, you're ahead of me, man. I gotta go back and watch that a couple more times now. That's what's up. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll have to see. Oh, I wonder if YouTube like shows that the statistics are off the charts, because the feedback I'm getting is definitely off the charts, and usually people don't give that much feedback. So if I go into my YouTube analytics, I'm kind of curious to see like if that episode pops super hard. I know the subscriber count's been going up, so shout out for that. Let's see. Sometimes they don't update the statistics immediately, and so that makes it kind of hard to go look at what's crushing it. But holy shit! Oh my god! Whoa! The average watch time for Game Theory Gang number 12 that we just did, the average watch time is 42 minutes. I have never seen that number. Never. Like the max here that I can see is like 25, 27 minutes on Game Theory Gang number 9. But like even that, I mean, that is almost a 2x on everything else we've ever done on the channel. That is insane. 2,000 people watched and the average was 42 minutes. That means that for every person who watched for only 15 seconds, there was somebody who watched for like 4 hours. That is insane. Yo, we gotta see if that could be more of a regular thing. We gotta do that more often. Bringing that much knowledge all at once. I guess people like that, huh? Wow, I'm glad I looked that up. 42-minute average watch time. Everything else is 21, 17 minutes, 4 minutes, 21 minutes, 22 minutes. These are like I don't know if this is these are the ones that are most viewed. 25 minutes, 25 minutes. So, you know, and to some extent, it's like these are videos that are like, you know, 2 to 4 hours. So it's not just the fact that they're long that gives them that longer. Because even when in Quant Gang, when we did 5-hour episodes and 6-hour and 8-hour episodes, it was still like 25-minute average view time, because we were pulling in so many people who only watched for 15 seconds, which sometimes that's good to like get new people in, and you know, then some of them stick around, right? XRP influencer. I guess I got it backwards, people. My bad. Happy Pineapple. People who do nothing good always want to make good guys look bad. Making Maddie the perfect target. New intro is awesome. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. I worked really hard to basically the tool that I made to make the intro originally got taken offline, and I like contacted the devs and they're like, nope, we killed the project. Like, we're not going to give you the template. And so I had to like pirate it myself and just kind of make stuff work. So it took a little bit extra work, but I appreciate people who say that they like it. Sure, he's talked shit about Hex before. His name pulled up is Into the Lifeboats. That's right. Life is tasty, Hexicans. What's up, Hextravagant Tastes? Meltoni says the price of Hex is sitting at 6.7 cents. Data sucks. I think it went up a lot and then went down a lot. But yeah, and the video platform sucks. But it's cool that I got a bunch of free shirts and sweatpants and sweaters and stuff that I, you know, customized a little bit for Hex, and it's really comfortable, and I didn't have to sell any Hex to buy other clothes. I don't know. Where have you been traveling, Maddie? What's your have place recently? I was in Northern Illinois for opening this, you know, covering the opening of this animal shelter and getting to know one of the Hexicans there, Art. He showed me his dope Corvettes and took me in his Tesla Plaid and drove like 163 miles an hour. That was really sick. Yeah, got to see, and we're going to be sharing like some really sweet clips from that, basically to create a testimonial video and to create marketing around animal lovers being able to buy Hex. We were going to network with a celebrity, and then that got kicked down the road a little bit, but it's the celebrity was sick. What can you do? My favorite place recently. So right now I'm in Kalamazoo doing a little retreat for writing and creating content and that sort of thing. And then I'll be going around a little bit this summer. Maybe I will let people know on my blog on Medium where I'll be popping up and what I'll be doing. But yeah, definitely always planning something good. My favorite place is anywhere that there's awesome Hexicans. I also really like Austin, Texas. It seems like there are a lot of Hexicans there. If you like Austin, Texas, you should say something in the comments. ETH fees made it uneconomical to unstake, so those stakes bled out and you had to stake. Good day, guys. What CD has fees if you don't end your time deposit? He gave way too much to the AA. Has fees? Sounds like a riddle. What CD has fees if you don't end your time deposit? Yeah, dude, it's on the ETH chain, and that is that's an expense. If you want to claim your free money, you got to pay the Ethereum miners. Like, Ethereum was designed to not cost so much money, and it didn't back when Hex was involved. And then they decided to increase the gas fees. So that's not a Hex problem. That's an ETH problem. Now you have perpetual dumpers. No, it doesn't seem like it. Everybody who's buying is selling to somebody who, or everybody who's selling is finding a buyer at these prices. Some people, they only wanted to buy at 4 cents and they got filled. Some people, they bought at 6 cents. Those people wanted to sell it at 4. People wanted to buy it at 4. So that's lower than we are today. So, people who are trading, they're caring about the price now. People who understand Hex and that you pay yourself in Hex to time lock the price, and you can create a staking ladder, and that's good for a lot of people. Like, if Hex did the same thing Bitcoin did, that would be good for people to have a staking ladder. So, morning, Maddie. Yeah, I mean, we've all been down. We've all, like, the vast majority of people who have bought Hex then saw the price go down. That's the nature of buying something that's volatile. Morning, Maddie. If anyone hasn't watched the recent stream you did with David Feeder and 4 attendees, it's worth a watch for sure. Yeah, that's what I've been telling people. Definitely. Check it out. What's up, CNDB? Value proposition of trustless yield won't be going out of style anytime soon. Every coin has dumpers. Very true. If it didn't have dumpers, then I guess you'd have to buy in at a higher price than you bought, because you bought from a dumper. That goes for Lord Harry as well. And I remember your name, man. Like, I remember you being in the chat a long time ago. So welcome back, I guess. You should have come, said hi whenever the price of Hex was higher than it is now. Receiving our Pulse tokens will help with our freedom of movement. It's all we're asking. What's up, Gen Hex? I really love your logo. That's dope. Drinking my Red Bull. Hex conference in 2023 in March? Probably. I might be working on some stuff sooner than that, though, first. So, one 1 or 2 or 3 things at a time is usually what I say. I'm cool with this sacrifice, but been waiting on the imminent launch since December. Yeah, man, there's like lots of people spreading FUD on Twitter, like pointing out when Richard said it would already be done by now. Well, the man also said a lot of times, I remember him saying a lot of times, like he's not good at predicting when software comes out. I also said a lot of times, like it'd be good to like trick people who are traders to get them out so that you don't have to suffer with them. At the end of the day, again, like you sacrificed for software that did not have any promises made to you. No, it's everybody wants lower fees for sure. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. What is up? Don't make me blush, Maddie ALLin. I will. Hex for BTC was minuscule, but if you locked it 10 years, it was a nice egg. Be worth a Bitcoin when I cash it out. There you go. What do you run your DeLorean on? Plutonium or the fusion power plant? I actually have a prop that is the Mr. Fusion, which is featured in the second Back to the Future. They put a bunch of banana peels in it and it makes the car run so that you don't have to use fossil fuels. Now, I would say that it runs on Pulse Chain, but Pulse Chain isn't out yet. So I wouldn't want to mislead anybody. The car literally does run on Hex because I am retired from Hex and I have a staking ladder that comes out once a year, and I dollar cost average out of Hex the 1% that I sell of my bag each year or whatever it's going to be. So runs on Hex. The license plate says out of Hex because I am out of Hex because I time locked all my Hex and sent it to my future self. Now, I wasn't able to resist those juicy prices. Hey, that reminds me, it was last week at the end of the Hex Therapy live episode. I went home, from my studio, and I was bored. Like I was gonna like check out some other streams, go on YouTube. I look at the price of Hex and it's down like 40% in in a moment. And so it's just it was coincidental that the person who dumped market sold their liquidity all the way down to 4 cents was the moment I checked my phone. And so of course, I went to the Hex trading chat immediately and waited for somebody to say what was going on. Like 15 minutes later, somebody posts like, hey, here's what's happening, blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, what did I do? Yeah, I might have taken a little $500 here and there and like thrown it in. Like, well, I don't think 4 cent Hex is going to last very long. So I got really lucky on that. Just saying. So it's not completely true that I'm out of Hex because I didn't end up time locking that Hex yet. I might just sit on that. That was cool. But yeah, it runs on gasoline too right now. The new one, so many people have messaged me or like tagged me that this new DeLorean has been teased lately by the DeLorean company. I'll show you guys real quick what this looks like. I don't know. I think it looks pretty sweet. I am not going to sell a bunch of Hex in a bear market to get it, but these things will be around for a while. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. It's electric. That's cool. I wasn't sure. I didn't know like all about electric cars very much. Like it just seems like, well, you're still using electricity, but at the end of the day, seeing what the Tesla Plaid could do, like going 0 to 163 in like a few seconds, it was cool. It's pretty cool. So, all right, I gotta say, like really quick, shout out to everybody who's here. Hit the like and subscribe button. trying to get to 10,000 subscribers who are all real awesome people, like the 9,000 that we have currently. Let me see. Let's break down, before we get to the rest of the questions here, let's break down what are some things that are certain in Hex and in crypto, and what are some things that are uncertain, okay? The value of what your Hex is going to be worth in the future in US dollar terms is uncertain, okay? That should be obvious. Crypto is designed to be volatile. That's the price that you pay for the upside volatility. But bottom line, it could be very little USD. It could be a lot of USD. We don't know. That's up to the people in the future to decide how valuable Hex is. But so far, it's been 2.5 years, and it's been a pretty cool group of people that got together, 95,000 of them, and decided to all hold the price up against themselves and against everybody else, making that Hex scarce now, in the here and now. And it's been a lot of people who came along and said, I want some of that action. I will pay more and more USD for that more and more scarce Hex. And sure, Hex will become less scarce. Will become less scarce the more time persists, but T-shares will not. They will become more scarce. So Hex, the amount of Hex that it has ever existed increases 3.69% per year. But the number of T-shares decreases each year. So it's also certain that longer stakes will pay better in Hex terms than shorter stakes. Nobody's disputing that. Nobody has been able to point to the code or point to an example of where a stake that was shorter got paid better in Hex terms. And that means denominated in Hex. That means using Hex as your unit of account. Just like if you used like gold as your, if you use like another currency, if you use the Chinese yuan as your unit of account, and then you could say, if the price of that, or if the value of that currency, if it goes up, then not the supply, but the value of it goes up against the dollar, then that means you can buy more dollars. But at the end of the day, T-shares, it's certain that they will become more scarce the more activity that happens on the system. Now, the other thing that seems to be certain is that when you time lock your money in Hex, you get paid an interest rate. You get paid more Hex. And even though you don't know what the USD value of that will be, you know that you will get more Hex if you complete the terms of the time lock. Right? So those are some really good things to be certain about. I could also be certain that I'm decreasing the counterparty risk with my future self. That's pretty sweet as well, right? So there are a lot of things in crypto that are uncertain, right? I even started questioning to myself, like, how is this whole crypto market, how's it being held together? Some people FUD Tether. They say Tether is going to fall out. Like, well, we don't want that. We don't want Tether to fall out. We don't want USDC to fall out. Like, but those stable coins, they're not the same as dollars in your hand. They're not the same as dollars in your bank, but they have different risks. Dollars in your hand has the risk of like being seized or somebody stealing it. Dollars in the bank, like it could be frozen, just for supporting truckers, like we saw in Canada. USDC, like it's up to Circle and their banking relationships, like whether they turn it on or off. Somebody in the Hex community was posting on Twitter about them seeing like kind of a glitch in USDC temporarily. And what I told them was that it sure could have been that it was just that Circle, the company, was just throwing a gas error intentionally to make sure that the Solana chain being screwed up wouldn't lead to any inflation on their side. And so in some ways, it's not all a bad thing if USDC is, like keeping their system solvent. Even though we don't like that somebody has like an on and off button, it seems like so far they've used it responsibly, and that there is backing in those dollars with real dollars in an account. Now, at the same time, there's always a first time for everything. And but at the end of the day, I think for me, it makes sense to spread my risk, throughout all of the tools I have available. And at the end of the day, I want my savings account to be 99% or more in Hex, because I've been fortunate enough to benefit so much from Hex, because I have a responsible plan to have a certain amount of stable coins and a certain amount of dollars in the bank set aside so that I can survive a bear market, so I don't have to sell Hex at a discount, so I can wait as long as I have to wait. I can adjust my lifestyle. I can spend more money. I can, I can sell things that I'm not using. And that way, I'm being as responsible as possible to my future self, to my past self, to the community, right, that I love and care about so much. It's true. So even though that might be kind of a short rant, I just and I can certainly ask other questions that people have about certainty and uncertainty. But I think out of all the things in crypto, that is the Hex, it's the one thing you need to get right, so you never have to work again in your life. That seems like a really crazy statement, but at the same time, there's probably 2,000 of us that got financially free just from the first 2 years. And it would be really cool to see that trend persist, but we're going to have our downside volatility. And it's going to be very much up to the people who are being responsible members of the community that, we'll see. Are people saying positive things? Are people pumping or fudding their own bags? That's something that's uncertain. How will the big players play the game? How much gratification will they delay? How many people need to cycle out of the system? How many people need to sell? How many people are living beyond their means, right? That's something we don't know exactly. But we have more information than any other chart in crypto. I think it was Hodpearl today on Jimrat Crypto's stream that was talking about how traders don't seem to be using the future market supply of Hex as information about whether the price is going to go up or down in the future. Because when there are big stakes coming out with 1 billion Hex per day or per month or whatever, it used to be that there was 1 billion Hex coming out per day in the adoption amplifier for the whole first year. But, or was it more than that? Either way, the point is that even if 90% of those people rebuy their T shares and stake longer, there's going to be a percentage of people that are selling the price down. And when she looks and sees the charts, those charts side by side, that she's seeing a connection between how many Hex are coming available to be sold and how many are being sold. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about you don't have certainty, but you have more information in Hex than in any other asset in the world. You have a chart of future market supply, which is when everybody's stakes are coming out, then that Hex becomes unlocked for the first time to where somebody could sell it. They did their time holding up the price. They paid the price of delaying their gratification. And now it's time for them to get the reward from all the people who, and diluting the people who are only keeping liquid. Come to think of it, that's another way that liquid people get diluted, is by the old Hex that's been time locked coming back onto the market and being able to sell. But the other cool thing is that in the past, Whales or the OA or anybody has been able to come along and compete, those long-term thinkers who want to see Hex succeed. There's always some of them. And the more Hex that they accumulate, even if it's not 100%, if they're accumulating 50% of the cheap Hex that's coming onto the market when people cash out and say, this was good enough, there's a willing buyer, there's a willing seller, and in some cases, there's a willing staker. And that staker is going to send their future self money. When they wait however many years or months or days that they're waiting, then they deserve to dump on the people who have only been holding liquid and who haven't been playing the game to accumulate more T-shares. The price of HEX is not guaranteed in the future in USD terms, but the price of a T-share increasing the value, the amount of HEX that's given, that's a sure thing. That's certain. The other thing that's certain from the mathematical proof and the economics audit of HEX is that if you time lock for an average that is longer than the average user in the system, you will be able to buy a greater share of the future compound interest. What does that mean? So if you stake 10,000, or in the beginning, if you stake 10,000 HEX and you got one T-share, if you staked longer than average, then the amount of interest that you would have at that time would be able to buy more shares as a number of the total supply that exists at that time than you bought in the beginning. So you make a 10-year stake, and then you're betting that the average isn't going to catch up to you in those 10 years. So if you started, the average was 4 years, and now it's 6 years, you've fallen behind. And you're giving up a share of your ability to buy back the same percentage of shares that exist in the entire system. So I know this is complicated, but we have to remember how compound interest works and how this scaling function works in HEX. So let's say I buy a T-share, and then I get all the interest from that, and it's been longer than the average that everybody else has staked for. Well, now the HEX that I've gotten is enough to buy more than my share of what the share of T-shares was at that time. So let me make this a little bit more clear. In the beginning, there were about, let's say, 11 million T-shares. So 1 out of 11 million, that is 1/11 millionth of the supply of T-shares. So if I time locked for 10 years, however many HEX that I got out of that might be 50,000 HEX instead of 10,000. Well, that 50,000 HEX maybe wouldn't even buy me a whole T-share at that time, because T-shares have ratcheted up to make sure that that people who stake shorter than me can't get more than I got. But the total number of T-shares that I can buy with whatever my, let's say, 50,000 HEX that I have then, the total number we know is going to be more than 1/11 millionth of the supply at that time. So if the supply at that time is half of what it was before, then I would be able to buy, let's say, more than 2 out of 10 million shares, right? So it'd be so the bottom line is that I'd be able to buy more of a percentage of the total shares of HEX in the system. And that's where you really see the power of staking longer, because it starts to compound on itself and it starts to really outperform everything else. It's another way that you're paying inflation more and more when you're not time locking the average. So it's not really meant to trade short term, although you can do it that way. It's meant for you to be enriching the other people. I'm sure that probably confused some people, and I'll need to get slides in the future that explain these extreme comment, or these complicated comments that I'm just kind of explaining off the top of my head. That was such a good episode. Yeah, hard to follow that up. Hope I'm doing okay. Thanks everybody for watching. Remember, every Tuesday we're live with David Feeder and a special guest. Looks like some good conversations going on here. ASMR Owl, what is going on? Blue, fire. Theta is a sleeping giant. Who knows? Completion fails. What's up, fam? Josh Kincaid, long-term hold for me. Good thinking. Melv Tony, do you know what the rate was, the T-share rate, the last time Hex was 7 cents? That's a great question. Can they still add the celebrity? Probably, yeah. Haven't been to Austin, but many old San Francisco friends have been heading there in recent years. I started heading outside the USA. Nice. Nice, Swearworks. Good to see you there. What's good, King? Ethereum fees went up because of demand. Not sure who they are talking about. Is no one decided to simply raise the fees? It just happened. Not true. Let me educate you a little bit here. Look into the S load function, because the cost of reading from disk, like you do with Hex shares, to compound or to calculate how much compound interest you deserve, makes you calculate every day that the system has been active that you staked. And the devs did sit around in rooms and simply decided to raise the fees. So it was a compound increase in fees for the Hex community, because we were actually using DeFi for something interesting like delaying gratification. And so the S load function did get raised by a committee. Yes, it did. Plus the Ethereum fees went up because of demand. Both of those things. Check your facts, man. Check your facts. Maddie, please hold me and tell me everything is going to be okay. Well, here's what's up. Basketball, everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. As long as we define everything being okay as valuing our wealth in Hex terms, not getting our expectations too high. Like, here's one of the things that we need to remember when we go through this experience of making an investment is you don't want to invest more than you can lose or more than you can save. You want to be a long-term player in this ecosystem. And you know, the other thing to keep in mind is that, like, it's okay to dream, but when you dream, you also want to keep your expectations low. So you want to find that that mental balance between those two things, like being able to dream and know what's possible. Bitcoin did some amazing things, right? It's possible. I can dream that you know, I'll have so much money that, you know, I can you know, live the best life possible. But it's not all about money either. And that's something that people can also recognize by, hopefully, by following me, by the discussions that we have, by the guests that we have on from time to time, you know, to understand that it's not just about taking. Crypto is about money. The point is to get rich. But getting rich, it's not the final point in most people's journeys. It's not the end game. The end game is to be your best self while being rich and being able to do more for others, in my opinion. So we gotta keep all those things in check. It's like, it's not all about money, but like dream big about the money and then dream big about everything else you can get while keeping your expectations in line. You can work on your personal development while you are delaying your gratification. Trust me, it's a perfect mix. What I ask people to do, if they're really serious about improving themselves, is to try taking omega 369, right? And it's like $5 from Walmart. Maybe it's $6 now with inflation, maybe $7 for a month's supply. So you don't have to use the link in the description below. I don't even know if it works. It's just, I made an Amazon link. I think I made $10 in like 3 months or something from the referrals. But like, you don't have to buy that overpriced one. It's just like a link for the Sam's Club one. The reason why you need omega-3 and why it makes a noticeable difference in your mental functioning, in your consciousness, you will notice that you're thinking more clearly if you're not getting enough omega-3. It's because omega-3 is the material that your body needs to insulate the electrical wires in your brain. Your brain is made up of so many bundles of electrical wires that the insulation itself is 25% of the dry weight of the brain. is supposed to be this omega-3 material that is not working its way up the food chain like it used to. And so it's super important part of us understanding, like, what is it that's going to be okay. I can't guarantee you that the USD price of Hex is going to be okay in the future. I have my reasons for thinking that it'll do well, but it's not something that I can tell you is going to be okay. What I can tell you is that while you're waiting with the rest of us, there are some really cool ways and low effort ways that you can see huge gains in your personal, like in your personal self. When I started taking omega 369, I had already gotten a graduate degree in psychology. I had already performed as somebody who's doing world-class neuroscience research in the domain of EEG, which is electroencephalography, measuring brainwaves, but also looking at the things we can measure when it comes to emotions, impulsivity, ADHD, depression, smoking, cannabis use. Like, all these things are things we studied in my neuroscience laboratory for 7 years. And so what I can guarantee you is, if you're not on blood thinners, then omega-3 is supposed to be in your diet. So take that how you will. It's probably safe, but I can't speak, for your doctor, who's supposed to be the one advising you on these things. But maybe you don't even take the supplement and you just start eating tuna or salmon or something like a couple times a week. But still, like, the most cost-effective thing, the easiest, lowest effort thing is just get some omega-3 and throw them down the hatch whenever you're eating food already, once a day, and taking 1,000 milligrams for the first week with food, like per day, 1,000 milligrams per day with food for the first week, and then 2,000 milligrams a day after that. That's what I did. And it made such a noticeable difference in my mood and the clarity of my thinking, my motivation, my feeling good about doing chores and boring things, house cleaning, just getting my life organized and in order. My relationships got better, my planning, less impulsivity, being able to have a good time, like doing a variety of things, getting more analytical. I lost weight because I was more interested in counting calories, like doing the mental exercise that requires. I started physical exercising more. Like, I unlocked all the things that my prefrontal cortex is supposed to make easy for me by taking omega-3. So that's why I would recommend, if there's one thing you can get out of this crypto thing other than rich, is get your mental health in order and make it easier for yourself to do everything that you want to do, to problem solve and to excel in life. That's something that the price of USDC being uncertain, it can't take away from the fact that you might learn something in hex therapy that could make your life better for years to come, independent of the price of things. Just saying. What's up, Hex Live? Good to see you there. Maddie is shredding. Summer season, pump. That's right. Peppy, hey all. What's going on? In Japan, cars run on water. Toyota. That's pretty sick. I'm not sure if that's true, but if it is, shout out to Toyota. It costs on average $7 to fill a Tesla Model S, probably much less cost on the environment than gas. Very cool. Nice. I'm subscribed, but I'm a degenerate. Welcome, I guess. Thanks for subscribing. What's up, Dingo Wolf? Tesla, meh, Porsche all the way. Everybody's got their favorite. Sarah Albers, was great to meet you. Hey, yeah, thanks so much for coming out. I was pumped to see everybody that was there. It made my day that people came so far to the Kankakee meetup. Either Maddie's been skateboarding or dirt biking. I can't tell. Yeah, normally I wear a sports jacket, but today I forgot it. I actually forgot it in the DeLorean because I left the DeLorean in Northern Illinois for a little while. Just because I didn't want to stress out the miles on it. So, yep, that's why I'm looking a little bit more casual today. Normally I dress up for you guys a little bit. The OA also absorbs a lot of inflation. Hex, never to see the light of DEXs ever again. Very true, very true. RH needs to say something soon, or else Hexicans are losing it. I mean, I'm not losing it. I don't know about anybody else, but there's always people out there that are going to lose it no matter what. People lose it when the price goes up. They're fearful. People lose it when the price goes down. They're fearful. They're not looking at it like, oh, I could get a discount, or I could wait longer, or, like I got my hopes up too much. Even for Hex, dream big, keep your expectations in check. Work on self-improvement while you're delaying gratification. Delaying gratification sucks. Does. Watching the price be volatile sucks. But if you got in lower and you believed a number that went really high and now it's lower where it was before, or lower than you bought it at, welcome to the club, I don't want RH to say anything. We're good. We got this. We're the community, not him. He is like super important, and I respect the shit out of him. You can find lots of stats at hexdailystats.com. I use that website every day. Use it once a day for sure. Or when I'm trying to check the gas price real quick, and I have a shortcut on the desktop of my phone right to that website. On the iPhone, you go to the website, you pretend like you're going to share it with the arrow going up icon, and then you create a bookmark, but you save it to the desktop, to the home screen. And then you've got a bookmark that has its own app icon, and you just tap that and boom, you got it. Then divide that by what I paid for the principal to find out the actual price of what I paid. It's pretty cool. If you are highly staked, you learn to develop patience. Pulse X will happen when it happens. Meanwhile, we just wait for the next big pump and get paid every day. Yeah, I mean, but it's also true. People really people are excited. It is a really cool thing. And I was sad at first that it wasn't coming out in the middle of May. And not everybody's in the financial situation. Not everybody had so much fortune with Hex early on. Not everybody created a staking ladder. Some people sent too much money to their future self. Some people sacrificed a lot. I mean, but I've been thinking of reasons, hearing lots of reasons why it's okay, why it's a good thing. I didn't start off expecting that, but look, you're flushing traders out of the system. You're probably reaching a lower point to launch from. When Hex launched from the bottom of a bear market, that was really advantageous. So there's more room to pump in the end. You're getting more software development every day. You're getting more certainty that the network is going to work right. And you're getting more fun on Hex, so that's an opportunity too. Now, just because it's an opportunity for some people, if you were looking to sell now and you've been waiting 2.5 years, or you bought at the top and then now you need the money, that sucks. Respect that sucks for people. But that's the game we're playing. Hi, Hexicans. If you only had 100,000 shares of Hex, how would you set up your staking ladder? I think 100,000 shares, you probably don't mean shares. Probably mean 100,000 Hex. If you mean 100,000 shares and not T shares or B shares or M shares, but just regular shares, then that would be less than a penny. But if you have 100,000 Hex, that's a lot of Hex. I think it's several $1,000s worth of Hex. 100,000. So that's $7,000 worth of Hex. How would I make a staking ladder? The way that I would start out making a staking ladder these days is probably I would take 25%, do a 15-year, I would take 25% and do a 10-year. I would take 25% and do a 5-year, and I would leave 25% liquid to sell in the next 5 years when the price goes up. I would get those locked in, and then I would go back in the future over the next 5 years or 2 years or whatever you want to do, and I would fill in those other steps of the ladder so that I had a stake coming out 14 years, 13 years, 12, 11. I already have my 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I already have my 5, 4, 3, 2. And those might be smaller. They might be bigger. It just depends like what the price of Hex does, how you want to distribute, your funding. But then you're dollar cost averaging in further and further down into the system. And then yeah, I mean, that's what I would recommend. And then you could get really fancy and you could have all of your 15 years plus your liquid that you're keeping. And then you could create a quarterly stake. And then you could roll over that quarterly stake whenever you have your yearly stake come out. You can send another 15-year out. So now you've been in Hex for a year, and you're putting money out to the 16-year mark from where you started, which wasn't available at first. You had to wait. You can only make 15-year stakes, 15.2 years. So you're rolling your ladder forward. You could take the interest out and live off that. Sometimes you get airdrops. Sometimes you get sometimes in a year or two you can get enough interest to live off of. But if you're still in that saving and accumulation mindset, you could take that first yearly stake that comes out, and then you could roll that into quarterly. And so that's another way to play the game. But if you're still holding 25% liquid at that point, then you would reassess, like a year in or half a year in or whatever, when you're done making your 15-step ladder, which is really 16 steps, because step 0 is like holding some liquid. I would always recommend people holding a little bit of liquid or having a stake coming out soon, so that you don't miss out on the chance to like sell into a pump. Will the OA continue to act the way it does and let us win? But one thing is certain: cash is trash. I'm losing buying power every day. That is certain. Yeah. But the dollar's bleeding out pretty slowly compared to all the volatility in crypto. So we could see all of crypto dump another 50%. We could see all of crypto dump another 75%. So cash isn't trash in that situation when you want to buy low and sell high. But yeah, trash, and by that I mean cash, sucks. I went to the grocery store today and I paid a shitload of money for not a lot of groceries, right? Lots of good comments here. Thanks, everybody. Still not the same. And for the newcomers, best thing has been holding cash and ready for the bear market since November. I mean, dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out, that makes things less about timing. Many make at least one 15-year stake and move backwards from there. That depends on your timeline, not anybody else. That's all about the T-shares. Hey, awesome point. I sacked for Pulse and PulseX. Will hodl for the next bull run up, big gains, but Hex will not be as much as the percent gains like Pulses will do. That is a fact. We don't know. It depends on buyers and sellers. If there is a bug in Pulse or PulseX, then that's not going to be really good for your bags if you want to sell them at that point, but it will be really good for the people who swoop in and buy the insane discount dip that could happen. That is actually my number one best case scenario. And it sucks to say, I'm sorry to say it, but come on, people. Can you imagine? Here's how we can make everybody happy, okay? Except everybody who's like not listening to this. Here's what you could do. You could have a huge pump in the price of Pulse and Pulse X right when it launches. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the number one best case scenario to me would be huge pump there, get a 10, 20, 50x. People can sell if they want to. If you're practicing not being too greedy, you like sell a little bit off the top so that you can survive whenever it dips again. Like, make those people happy who want to get some money off the table, who've been waiting long enough for themselves. But then I would love to see a problem with the network so much that it crashes the price down 90, 99%, something like that. And then all the true believers can go in and buy that insane discount. But maybe everybody like, maybe it's only the evil VCs who like get flooded out there, and all the good people, maybe they'd be true. They would buy the dip. I would love to buy that dip, and then the network performs flawlessly into infinity. That'd be the ultimate case scenario, I think. So I would like to see a huge pump and a huge discount, and then an even huger pump. That'd be pretty cool. For the newcomers, it's better for them to hold cash and wait for the Pulse launch and wait a few days after the pullback. I mean, we can't know that. And wait a few days after for the pullback and load back up at the pullbacks. And that way they won't lose and get in. Hey, I mean, dollar cost average now and later. That's what I say, but I like what you're saying too. Great stream. Thanks, Mixed Crypto Arts. Appreciate it. But if you are in Hex early at the start and staking, that's a different story than for that person, correct, but not for the newbies. I have to disagree. Listen, I was new once and the price dipped 85% and it sucked and I bought more and I didn't complain about it too hard. I kept a positive attitude and I went out there and I promoted Hex. Spoke out against CoinMarketCap gatekeeping. That's how I first started. So we've all been new, but the one thing that the new people have is there's never been this long of a dip before, right? It's going on 7 months. But that's, but they haven't waited 2 years. So we need to come back and see what the price is when the people who bought the top at 50 cents have waited for 2 years, like the rest of us. Then we can know what their situation is. David Feeder, my man, the validator himself. What's going on? Good evening. Is that a fact based on code or market trends? Market trends you followed acquired from incomplete products. Time will tell. I will agree that speculation can be a seed for growth. People talking to each other in the chat here. No two people are going to do the exact same thing, even with equal amounts of Hex. Each person has to make their own decisions. True. All are great products. I'm saying Pulse will be better growth for the newbies. Yeah, it could be. That'd be cool too. We don't know though. We don't know. I mean, Hex could do a 100x from here. And Pulse could do a 50x. I think a lot of people would be happy. There'd still be some complainers though. There's that 3 out of 3,000 people I see out there are just can't make them happy. You can make them millionaires. You can make them billionaires. They're never going to be happy. T-shirt rate last time we were at 7 cents was about 18,000 Hex per T-shirt. Interesting. Nice hat. Hey, thank you. Definitely a gift from Casey the Hexagon, I believe, or somebody on the tour. Crypto Sparbach tour. Don't forget to smash the like button. Yeah, thank you. That could bring more people to the stream. They could find out about what's certain and what's not in the crypto space. And they could see my faux pas when it comes to like calling out the fake influencer and getting his name wrong. Expectations, guys. What's going on? Salter. Cooked whole chicken was $4, now $8. Ouch. Guys, Hex will be okay if RH says something regarding Pulse. But then there's going to be more traders in the mix, and they're going to get more of the opportunity. Bear market has been 8 months, and fear has, well, it's been 8 months since the top, and maybe it's been 7 months since we started a 25% pullback or something. But there was a long time where the price of Hex was well above its moving average. Had been around 8 to 10 levels. Stock markets, SPY did lows 3 times and bounced last week to the 400s and stayed up, which is higher lows happening. Well, that's a little bit better for the macro, I guess. You know, the macro like is reaching really big FUD levels, and some of it might be priced in. But we could still be going a lot lower based on what the Fed does. So thank you for the info and resources. Either way, you know, we're going to be here fighting the good fight. Watch out for 2023 and 2024. A huge bull market will brew. Okay, I love this. Your eyesight went back to 2020 post omega 3. There's a reason for that. That doesn't work for everybody, but the fact is that the rubbery material that creates the electrical insulation that goes around the wires in your brain that's made of omega 3, right? It's called the myelin sheath. That's not the only rubbery material that your body makes from omega 3. Your body also makes myelin, the rubbery material, in order to make up your eyeball. Your eyeball is made of a bunch of rubbery material. Your eyeball is made of omega 3. And also your joints are made of omega 3. The rubbery material that goes between your joints. And so, you know, your tendons and ligaments and stuff. And so I've seen people whose chronic joint pain was improved by them taking omega 3, not just the clarity of their thinking and their brain power and their all of the things that the prefrontal cortex does. So yeah, that's an incredible point. Thank you for bringing that up. And again, if you know the brain stuff wasn't enough to convince you to start taking omega 369, maybe the eyesight, you know, the testimonial here of somebody's eyesight getting better, maybe it would be the testimonial of people having less joint pain because their body has the materials it needs to bring about health. Tried for 2 years to get theta staking to work and never could get it to work. And then they switched to NFTs. Focus, I finally gave up on them. I have not heard of anything going on in the theta space. I literally just got these super comfortable jerseys that I wear a lot. Turned them into little Hex gear stuff for free. Yeah, because like the theta, there are like 2 theta tokens. The one I got was for tipping streamers. It did a 10x, and then I couldn't trade it for cash, so traded it for merch. You can go back to all the Hex stats since day 1. There's not a better site out there. Hell yeah. Thanks for all you do, Maddie. My pleasure, man. Thanks for what you do. Richard has given the means to rise a new generation of thought leaders. I think that's part of the magic of how many big thinking channels that all want some kind of revolution and societal change happen. For sure. Totally. Hex is a Nobel Prize worthy invention for sure. Hex is 6.7 cents. What's your PulseCon status? I don't like PulseCon. I just don't like the person organizing it, but it's cool when Hexicans meet up anywhere. I love that. Hexicans aren't losing it. People who don't fully understand what Hex is might lose it. Shout out to you, Cryptographics. Thanks for all the videos that you make. That's super badass. My hex yields on stakes go up every day. Nothing to do until the stake ends, so not losing anything here. Dollar cost average until launch and beyond. Absolutely. Currently have day scheduled off, started new job, but will DCA plane ticket and can ticket until September. Parity of hex is very easy to achieve with this hex price. Could be. Hey, shout out to everybody who has joined as a member. Thank you so much. I noticed that there was a new member just the other day. Got my YouTube pulled up. I wonder if I can see who has been a subscriber. Here we go. Oh, thanks to Art Morikawa for subscribing. Shout out to you. 5 days ago, you rejoined. Jeff Robinson, thank you so much for subscribing to the Like a Crab category. Just like a funny system for different amounts you can donate to the channel each month. Joined 3 days ago. Thank you, Jeff Robinson. Thank you, Art Morikawa, Like a Shark. Totally. Thanks to Frank. Frank joined Like a Crab 25 days ago. Thank you so much. A different Frank also joined Like a Crab a month ago. Thanks to the people who have renewed as well. That's a big deal. Thank you. DJ Polly Wood, G Centralize, Christopher Davis, Russ, Shillet, username Shillet, Scott Duff, and Hex Ed, hashtag TYRH. Hey, thank you so much, all of you, for subscribing to the channel. I try to be really fair and like get out all of my content to everybody. So I haven't made premium content yet. Although every like I will probably post like maybe some behind the scenes things that aren't going to change how everybody can interact with, you know, like all the information. I really want to keep all the information on this channel free. But to the subscribers, you know, you're just giving back because I'm giving back. And so if you want to support the channel, I can always upgrade my gear and that sort of thing, which I'll do anyway. But it's a huge sign of respect. You get, you know, kind of free super chat status because you're highlighting yourself and your username whenever you're doing live stream chats. And I think even the chats after the fact, when people leave comments, it shows whether you're a member or not. So you get to stand out a little bit in the chat. You get a shout out from me. And then from time to time, I might post some behind the scenes things just so you can be in on what it was like to be there. Like we just did this photo shoot with Art and filming and got to see all of his cool stuff. And you could see maybe our setup there and that sort of thing. Like what my streaming setup looks like, or I don't know, just some bonus content. That should be a thing, I think. So yeah, thanks to all the members. Thanks to everybody who just is out there being a subscriber, helping to get to the 10,000 mark. That'd be really cool. What's up, Warped Impulse, Hexaking Greenhorn. Click. I finally understand better what T-shares are and that they are deflationary. Rate today won't be the same in 10 years. Correct. And like I said on Jim Rat Crypto's channel, that's another thing that you see in the community tab. Not just if you're a member, that's where you go to get the bonus content. But if you're not a member and just a subscriber, you can go to the community tab. And if I appeared on anybody else's channel, that's where I will post a link so that, you know, I like people to have access to everything I've said publicly, all in one place here on the channel. And that way, if you're trying to keep up with all of my learning journey and trying to know everything that I know, I'm an open book. It's almost impossible for me to learn something through all the conversations that I have with everybody, all the interviews that I've done, all the research I've done, multiple hours per day. every day for the past 5 years since I got into Bitcoin, I've been researching. Like, sometimes I just remember all the different facts I've learned and I try to put it out there. And so I've got like 100% of the things I've thought of are out there. I'm not keeping any secrets from people. And so, and I really think too, like, I don't like to repeat myself too often I like to find new ways to present things. And so that's why I think it's helpful to have a full record of all the things I've said. So, but I'm pumped that, like, hopefully it was something I said today that helped you realize how deflationary T-shares are. One of the things I said on the Hex Morning Show yesterday with Jim Rat Crypto was this idea that the T-share rate went up like 750 hex per T-share in one day. And that was one of the probably the second biggest increase I've seen, definitely recently. I mean, it's a huge jump. The jump is like 3.5% more expensive T-shares. And so everybody who hadn't staked at that point now is paying this much higher number of hex that they need to pay for each T-share. It's a brilliant system that helps to account for how much compound interest in the future you deserve based on the behavior of everybody else in the system to pay people to hold up the price and to make it more expensive to hold liquid so that all the new hex that's coming out is only going to the people who time lag. I had a piece of metal removed from my eye a few years ago. It was starting to rust and they cut it out like a cavity. 24 hours later, the eye tissue was completely healed. Wow, you're lucky there. I've also had my eye damaged and it grew back like actually better than the other eye because there were more stem cells in the mix. And I was like a teenager at the time. Maybe a little bit less, but hey, Maddie, Laric here. I'm taking Omega 369 now for 3 months. Eyesight and joints and brain is getting more accurate. Hey, I'm so glad that you shared that. Thank you. Because I think that what you sharing that could now inspire other people who are on the fence. Maybe now they will go out and get their Omega 369 or just start with Omega 3. The 6 and the 9 are optional, but at the end of the day, it's what your body and brain need in order to function properly. You might be performing much lower than you could be, like I was. I was functioning at a world-class researcher level. But I had problems sleeping, problems being motivated to exercise, problems, just with, you don't know how clearly you can think until you experience it. And it's so incredible. And it's going to take 1 to 4 weeks because that's how long it takes for your body to absorb, but really to install all the missing myelin sheath and different materials that need to be made out of the omega-3 joints and grow the tissue and all that kind of stuff. So I'm so glad to hear that. David Gomez, what's up? Yeah, everybody hit the like and subscribe button. I've been so impressed with how many people have been watching on the replay. It really feels like there's huge growth in the channel when just 6 months ago, it was impressive to get 2,000 people watching Hex Therapy Live. Normally it would be in between 1,000 and 1.5 thousand. Now we've like doubled the amount of viewership up to, multiple episodes in the past month have gotten, over 3,000 views. It's been incredible. I don't think I even said, maybe I did on Game Theory Gang 2 episodes ago, there was a clip there that went kind of viral. I mean, it got over 20,000 views on Twitter. It's incredibly motivating as a content creator that there are people out there who will clip the content and go out and get 20,000 views without me doing anything other than saying what I said. And super inspiring to see all of you show up and watch. I mean, gosh, that those statistics for that stream that we did with attendees, it's like a 2x amount of minutes watched. I mean, that's really incredible. That you don't see that. A 42-minute average view time for 2,000 people on a video that's a little bit less than 4 hours. I mean, it's like twice as much as most people are viewing, because you've got 1,000 people that are watching the whole episode or half the episode, and then you've got people that are only watching the first 15 seconds, and you average that together, and you normally get like 20 minutes. But it's really incredible. The amount of watch time on that last episode really says a lot. Water is used to make hydrogen that runs the Japanese water cars. Right back at you, brother. Keep killing it. Hey, thank you, Cryptographics. DJ Pollywood, virtual hug. Hey, thanks, man. Happy Pineapple. There you go. Good username. Mr. Origami. Just shut your eyes and go to sleep for 2 years. Hey, that's good advice. Use a sleep headband while you're at it. Water cars are gate kept just like Hex. That's not good. I've been staking various amounts of Hex for Quattro Cinco every 90 days. Well done. Good job. Paying your future self in Hex terms. That's definitely going to pay off in Hex terms. I hope in USD terms as well. Maddie, I have to say your mod mouth Tony pushed me over the knowledge cliff. You definitely get me thinking first, though. Hey, that's super awesome to hear that you're learning from people in the chat, not only myself. That makes me feel like I'm surrounded by a bunch of really smart people and people who are here to learn and improve themselves. That makes me super happy. Omega sounds good. Yeah, give it a try. Yeah, fine. I'll try the fish pills. Yes, thank you. Yes. That was literally one of my main goals, becoming a retired mental health therapist who's streaming on YouTube. I want to get the mental health out there. And that has been the number one life hack that I've used for myself, but I've also used for probably a couple hundred mental health clients over the 7 years that I worked in mental health. And so it was really the last 5 when I was recommending omega-3 and seeing it change so many people's lives. I saw 3 people in a 6-month period go from being homeless to getting 2 of them were getting straight A's in college. Incredible stuff. Now I'm hitting the gym almost daily. I'm sure it has a lot to do with omega-369. Seriously, people, I love it. I love this because it's so easy to do. It has such a big effect on everything. Get your omega-3. Next time you're at the grocery store, set a reminder on your phone, put it on your grocery list. Tell, hey Siri, remind me next time I'm at the store. You could say like a specific store, and then it'll create a geolocation tag. It'll pop up on your phone when you go inside that geolocation. If you're not in Apple, like maybe write it on your hand or something. Just kidding. We love our Android users too. Most BTC gains were before 2015 when there were no other crypto choice. But now there's much choice and there's dilution across 10,000 coins. So I don't see anything doing what BTC did. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, we don't know what the appetite is going to be for people in the future dealing with Hex. We just know it's been going for 2.5 years and the appetite's been increasing. People have been willing to pay a higher price. People didn't get allergic to the price. To use an early RH term of warning. Like, but if this turns out to be Soylent, yo, I get it. I get the inside joke. I took a bottle of omega-369 with me on the Quattro Cinco tour. Hey, that is awesome. I'm glad people can come here and rep, because honestly, that is one of the major ways that I got clients who were in the substance abuse clinic that I worked in. Like, how I got them to try omega-3 was I gave them a really good pitch for it. And then they got to go to group and hear how it helped other people and really hear it from them, not from me. It like made it sealed it for a lot of people who otherwise it wouldn't have worked for. Yeah. And for me, again, like I was functioning at a high level, started taking omega-3, started functioning at a higher level that I didn't even know was possible or that easy. What is your opinion on the buy and burn function? That is an awesome function. I love it. I think there's been a buy and burn function in Hex kind of with the OA buying up. And I think that's worked really well. I think that's a super important pumpamental. It's a super important tokenomic. And we've seen other coins that implement that. They do really well, even though their founders are selling. And I think ours is going to do even better. What about oil and plastic byproducts in fish? That's why you could take the omega-3, which isn't just made from fish. There's different kinds, and you don't get the byproducts as much or at all in the supplements. But if you're eating real fish, then yeah, maybe you want to watch out for that. There was like a fish documentary that like super like made everybody FUD fish. Like that's fine. I eat tuna from time to time. I'm not worried about it. Like I would, but I also took the supplements for like a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, somewhere in there, like before I got into fish. So different ways for different people. I don't have to take fish pills. I take plant-based omegas. Yes, exactly. If you're not on Apple, write it on your hand. Us Androids have feelings, you know. My bad. I mean, shoot. My girlfriend has an Android. Androids, you know, like I think Dev Kyle has an Android. Like Androids are good too. I was making a bad joke. And I'm like super disappointed with Apple for their high-end laptop that they sold me last year, like the end of last year. It sucks. It sucks. And I loved Macs so much for so long. And it sucks. So maybe I need to reassess my life decisions when it comes to like Apple versus everything else. Flax seed oil, hemp oil, etc. Exactly. Hey, we are reaching the 2-hour mark. I have said my piece about omega-3. I love it. About people talking shit on the first Hex conference, trying to say that Richard Hart paid for some green screens. That is false. I'm the one who offered to pay for the green screens. And saying that Richard Hart arranged to send everybody the background that everybody used, false. I'm the one who paid for that to be created, and I'm the one who sent it to everybody. Richard had nothing to do with the first Hex conference other than he was willing to speak. And I greatly appreciate that. He's the one who built the thing that inspired all of us to get together and have the first Hex conference. Like the price of Hex was not pumping at the Hex conference, and it didn't pump for a while after, which meant that there was a really good dip. There was an 80% dip during the first Hex conference that people could buy. So that is that's false information that's being spread out there alongside all the other FUD that's always existed for Hex. And we reviewed earlier in the stream what is certain and what is uncertain about the market. And so you can see for yourself that in Hex, you are guaranteed that you will get more Hex if you do the work to hold up the price by delaying gratification. And that's going to benefit everybody else at first. And then later on, it might benefit you or it might not, depending on how many people are participating, how many people are bringing USD to the system. It does not make it a Ponzi. It makes it an investment. It's no different than a used car in a lot of ways. And except a used car, like normally isn't known for helping people delay the gratification, create a savings plan, get connected with an awesome community, and have extreme price volatility, which is a feature, not a bug. So as much as we can rage against the machine that we all signed up for, like at the end of the day, you know, if you time lock your Hex, you're getting paid and you're getting a good deal. And so are the people who are enjoying that now you're not going to sell for a while and you're holding up the price. They can sell the price while it's being held up. And then someday they're going to come back, the people who locked, and it's going to be their turn to be liquid. And then, you know, then you have an opportunity to buy T-shares and to pay your future self in Hex terms. And get on and off the ride as you will, but enjoy the fact that you can reduce counterparty risk with your future self by creating a staking ladder, and then have Hex coming out in the good times and the bad times alike. So with that being said, hey, thanks everybody for being here. My name's Matty ALLin. You can find all of the cool stuff that I've created at allmylinks.com/allin. Just go there and see if there's something I've linked to there in my 55 links on there, something that you didn't know about. You might already know about Hex Daily Stats. You might already know about hexstreamers.com. You might have already tried tshare.app and go.tshare.app, or that might be new for you. There might be an event that you want to see, like, the Hex conference. You might want to see the different playlists that I've created. If you're new, you might want to go to hexcontract.com. Check out the playlist for new people. Be a pretty good way to onboard. You might want to see the layman's guide that Dev Kyle wrote that I linked to. You might want to see the layperson's guide that Nerd Girl wrote. I've got a bunch of helpful materials there for y'all. And while you're there, do me a favor and subscribe on all my different platforms. If my YouTube channel went down, I would still be streaming to Twitch and to Twitter. So make sure you're subscribed there, because crazy shit happens all the time in this world full of censorship, right? And it shows more support for me. Add me on Instagram. Add me on Theta if you don't mind, right? Like anywhere. Medium. I've got my Medium articles. I've got the Medium article that I wrote that like knocked it out of the park so hard. I haven't had to write very many more Medium articles about crypto and mental health, because I knocked it out of the park so hard. I even have an article on my Medium that does like a super deep dive into like some super interesting artificial intelligence stuff that happened on Twitter a while back. That's probably the best article that I've ever written. And I got included in Medium's top publication, which is like super cool. That the first article I wrote was like, the top of the top. And then I started writing about crypto and the gate kept me. But either way, hit the like and subscribe button now. And let's see. Stake wisely, my friends. Peace out.
It's from Matty ALLin of Hex Therapy Live. I like Matty. Matty tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being can do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Matty ALLin's got that covered. Does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff like as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.